Hello everybody, it's Michael from ReplicaAirguns.com. Today we're going to do a revisit of the Umarex Walther PPKS. It's not going to be a tabletop review. It's really just going to be a revisit. I want to take a look at this gun, which is nearly, I'm going to guess, around 20 years old at this point. This was Umarex's first BB pistol, and I believe it was the first ever BB pistol or air gun that had a blowback slide. Now, there might have been some other guns with internal blowback mechanisms, but this was the first slide that actually reciprocated, had blowback action. The other reason why I want to revisit this product is because this was the first air gun I ever reviewed for the channel. I made my world's smallest full auto BB gun video, which I believe is now closing in on almost 600,000 views. It's done pretty good considering that video is back from 2006. So 15 years ago when I first put that video up on YouTube. What I want to do today is compare it to more modern versions of a similar pistol. As far as I know, there aren't any other PPK air guns, at least in steel BB versions, the metal BBs, the 4.5 millimeter steel BBs. So the closest thing I can really compare it to in size and style would be the Makarov. And Umarex and KWC have produced versions of these guns more recently. So quickly, I'll just go over some of the basic specs for what we have here on the table. This Walther PPKS, made by Umarex almost 20 years ago. It's made in Japan. It's mostly metal, okay? Nice metal gun. You do have some plastic grips, of course, and you do have a plastic magazine, which kind of sucks. That would probably be the biggest downfall, but it does work, and you can buy like multiple packs, I believe, of 3 of these for really cheap. They hold 15 rounds. The CO2 just goes inside the grip here, right? The pistol grip. And that's the reason why they went with the PPKS versus a PPK, because they needed the longer pistol grip, right? They needed the longer grip here. Some of the versions you can get without this kind of weird little ugly looking thing, the screw in for the CO2 there, the actual little screw and handle there. You can actually cut this off if you know what you're doing, get the right length. So what you would do is you would screw it in and then cut it off almost flush and put a little bit of a, basically use like a hacksaw or some sort of Dremel tool to put a notch in there so you can tighten it with a screwdriver, like a straight screwdriver, blade screwdriver. And that way you don't see this ugly tab hanging out the bottom, which is a real giveaway. I have done that. A lot of people have done that with these guns. But, you know, the grips come off. That's how you get it. The CO2, put it in there. This is just, now the slide is metal. It does wiggle around a lot, but it works very effectively. You do have the magazine release on the side here. You do have, now, if you take this pin out, you will be able to pull the trigger guard down and actually do a full field strip or a field strip, take the slide off. I just, you know, I'm not going to punch that out for you for this video, but you can easily do that and make this gun field strippable. It has fixed sights. It is a single action only trigger system, so you can't pull the trigger unless the hammer's cocked back. So with the blowback action, you are going to be able to obviously get back to that single action trigger pull. Okay, we'll sort of go through here and look at it close up as we go through some of the specs. It does have a 3.5-inch barrel that's obviously non-rifled. Weighs about 1.2 pounds. Now the barrel is kind of lined with this plastic, but the inner barrel is metal. But that keeps it from scratching up. It keeps its nice black look there without it getting all scratched like some of the metal barrels can. So not a big deal. All right, you do have this kind of ugly safety on it that isn't really necessarily true to what you'd find in a real PPK. Would be more here, right? That would be the real safety. But it does work. It works just fine. And this gun shoots at about 295 feet per second, so it's not going to throw pellets or BBs down the range really fast, but it's really fun to shoot. It's really snappy. You know, it's such a small little gun. It's really one of the smallest BB pistols that's blowback action that you can get. And again, one of the first ever made, so really, really cool. I think that's enough in terms of specs. I've made a bunch of videos on these guns. I am going to be doing a field test and compare it to something more modern just to see if it holds up. So that's the whole idea, is to see if this gun still holds up today with the more modern versions that are out there. Again, not PPK or PPKS. I don't know of any, but we do have a few other Makarovs. So let's quickly go through them. We have this Makarov. This is one of the first Makarovs. Again, this one's by Umarex, and this was just a basic non-blowback, so it doesn't have blowback, but it did have, you know, it's a CO2 with 18 rounds instead of a PPKS had 15 rounds. And then you've got steel BBs, of course, single action and double action. So we'll take a quick look at this gun just so you can get an idea It did have a working slide, which is nice, but no blowback action. So when you pull the trigger, you can pull it back and get a little more accurate, shooting, but then you've got this double action, slightly heavier trigger. This gun works really good. If I remember right, it shoots pretty close to 400 feet per second. I believe it's claimed to be 380, but it does shoot close to 400. It is fairly accurate. It does have this kind of ugly, stick mag type thing, but it is metal, so that's a little step or an upgrade from the plastic magazine on the PPKS here. But in terms of size and stuff, you can see this is why I'm comparing the two. It is similar, right? All metal gun. This one's maybe a slight bit heavier, but pretty close. Okay, same type of gun, really, very, very similar in how they're built and designed. So that was basically this one kind of came later on, but this was the first Umarex version of a Makarov. And then Umarex came out with the Legends version, okay? So this was a blowback gun, which was nice. And this one actually has blowback action. And it has a more of a full-size dropout magazine, although part of it is plastic, so this holds the CO2 and the BBs, okay? It's not a full blowback gun, but it is, partial blowback. And it allows for single action, more of a single action trigger. And this is not a double action gun, as you can see, but you do have the safety where it's supposed to be. By the way, the safety on this guy was where it's supposed to be too, which is kind of nice. So if you're comparing them. This gun here, let's look at some of the specs. Okay, so 200 or 350 FPS, a little faster, 16 rounds, blowback action, full metal. Obviously a lot of the same stuff. So the gun I'm probably going to be comparing it to, because this is the most recent and I'd say the most modern version of the PPKs that are out there, the Makarovs that are out there, which is as close to the PPKS as I can get. This is a KWC gun. It's distributed by a few other companies like Gletcher and a few others. But this is a full blowback gun, so you have full blowback operation, nice heavy slide, nice heavy spring in it, working safety. And it is, again, it's a single action only gun, so once that blowback action is engaged, you're going to be able to shoot it. You do have a full-size dropout metal magazine. Okay, this obviously CO2 is done, but that's where the CO2 goes. It holds the BBs and it holds the CO2, of course. And this gun is nice. It's as close as you're going to get to a Makarov and to something, with a full-size magazine, full blowback action, all of those things. Let's quickly take a look at the specs just so we can kind of compare them. Now, because it's full blowback and it's a blowback gun, we are going to get a little slower FPS. I think 92 meters per second is around 305 feet per second, just over 300. So they should shoot pretty similar in terms of feet per second. This gun, again, holds 15 rounds, so they hold about the same rounds. They're both blowback. They're both single action only triggers. This one weighs, I'm not sure exactly how much it weighs, I can't remember, but a little bit heavier. Again, this is 1.2 pounds. Okay, they have similar length barrels. So I really want to see how they compare when I do the field test for them and see if, it's going to be comparable in terms of performance. I think they'll be close, right? So, I mean, other than this having the kind of ugly plastic magazine on it, well, once you're shooting it, you really, you can't tell. But other than that, this PPKS seems to be holding up. I mean, all metal, blowback action, really nice. Again, it has that ugly thing there, but you can cut that. You can do that mod. Umarex actually did make a version of this pistol, I believe, that had this taken off and you had to use a screw or a screwdriver on it. I don't remember if they still sell it, but they did at one point come out with that. I don't believe they're even selling it anymore. They changed it up a bit. You can get this with silver slides and different versions of it. I think this one also came with like pink grips at one point. So it's been, it's been kind of distributed in multi different looks and finishes over the years as well. So, okay, next you're going to basically be seeing me shooting this gun in the next video in the Replica Airguns indoor C-can shooting range. And we're going to compare these two guns head to head. So stay posted for that video shortly. That'll be the next video I make. And we'll see how these guns compare. All right, thanks for watching another Replica Airguns video. Don't forget to subscribe. Check me out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you're interested in any of these products, you can also go down to the replicaairguns.ca for Canada and replicaairguns.us website, online web stores, where we sell air guns, BB guns, pellet guns, airsoft guns, blank guns, and other accessories. All right, thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.